Greetings, student. Today we'll be discussing a new chapter called Light, Shadow and Reflections. If you open your textbook to page number 94, you'll be able to follow the class easier. So before we dive deep into the chapter, it is first important to know or have a brief understanding about what the heading or title of the chapter means. So here, the first one, light. So what is a light? A light is something that helps us see our surrounding. If there is no light, we won't be able to see what is in front of us. Our eyes will basically become useless. Shadows is those part of an object that doesn't receive light and appears dark. Suppose I'll draw an object here. This is suppose an object. This side is your eye, and we have a source of light over here. Okay, suppose this is the sun. Now as it shines light over here, some of these light rays will bounce off from this object and reach our eye. It is because of this bouncing of light we are able to see this object. And the phenomenon of this bouncing of light is what reflection means. Now if you look towards the left side of the object, that is towards this side will not receive much of the light compared to the right side. So this side will appear dark in color because no light will reach over here and nothing will be bouncing off it. So that's why that area of the object appear dark in color. Here the first topic under the chapter we have is source of light. What is a source? Source means from where we get certain things, right? So here it is written source of light. That means where do we get light from? We get light from the sun. It is because of the sun we have daytime, and even at night time, even though we don't see a sun in the sky, we still have electric bulb that helps us see at night. So this is what this light basically tells us. We can go to the next one. This slide or this page talks about one of the most important property of light, that is light travels in a straight line. To prove this statement, you have an activity in your book through which we can check whether light travels in straight lines or not. If I zoom in on the figure, we can see two boys up and below holding two different rubber tube. The upper one is holding a straight one and the bottom is holding a bent rubber tube. So at first we will talk about the bottom one. I'll draw the size of the tube bigger so that we can apply logic better. Suppose this is the tube and your eye is at the top side and a candle is burning over here at the bottom side. So by our personal experience or by simply applying simple logic, we can know that this person, this eye will not be able to see this candle. He or her will be only able to see this portion of the rubber tube but not the candle light. But in case of the top one, there is a straight rubber tube. The straight rubber tube, here is the candle, the eye is on the other side. By our own experience or applying simple logic, we can directly tell that this eye can see this candle light burning through this rubber tube. So now we will try to apply the statement over here. Here light travels in a straight line. At the bottom we can say that because light is traveling in a straight path, that is why they are able to reach our eye and hence we are able to see this candle burning. But in case of the bent one, what happens is that since light travels in a straight path, so as it goes through this rubber tube, it got blocked in this area. Hence, it could not reach our eye. That's why we are not able to see the candle flame burning. So by this simple logic, we can conclude that light travels in a straight line. They doesn't bend on their own. Alright, after this, we'll go to the next slide. Here in this slide, we get two new terms, that is luminous and non-luminous object. First, I will read out the definitions. An object that gives out its own light is called luminous object. Example: sun, stars, burning candles, electric bulb, etc. Now the second point, an object that does not emit light of its own is called a non-luminous object. For example, people, animals, birds, plants, chairs, tables, etc. So what is this page telling us? It tells us that any object that has their own light, we will call them luminous object. For example, sun, they have their own light, right? So that's why we will call them luminous object. For example, again, a burning candle. A burning candle also has its own light. That's why we will call them luminous object. But in case of people, us, human, we doesn't have a light of our own, right? So what will we call ourselves? We will call ourselves non-luminous. Here, plants, chairs, tables, all of them are non-luminous objects. After that, we come to this slide that talks about how different materials or object interacts with light. The first one that we have is transparent. So what is transparent materials? Transparent materials are those materials that allows light to pass through them. For example, a clear glass. If you look at this diagram, you can see that this arrow, all these are light rays. This is the glass or the transparent material. Now if you compare the left to the right, we can see that all these arrows are passing through this material easily, right? So that's why if you look at this girl, she is holding a transparent material, that is a glass. It is because all these rays are able to pass through this glass and reach her skin or her body. That is why we are able to see her face. If all these light rays doesn't pass through this material, what will happen? We won't be able to see her face. So transparent material means those materials that allow light to pass through them, due to which we can see things clearly through them, are called transparent materials. After transparent materials, we have translucent materials. In translucent materials, only some of the light will pass through them. If you look at this diagram, you look here, we have many light rays toward the left, but towards the right we have only few light rays. That means only a few of the light rays are able to pass these materials. That's why though we can see her face, it is not very clear, it is very blurred. If you contrast it with the earlier point, that is transparent material, you can draw out the conclusion that transparent material, light passes through them very easily, but in case of translucent material, only a few passes through them. Now after that, the last one we have is opaque material. If you look here at the diagram, you will understand it by yourself. That is, towards the left side there are many light rays, but if we look at the right side, none of the light rays are able to cross. That's why we cannot see her face. She is holding an wood over here, right? And we know that we cannot see through an wood, so we can apply the logic that light are not able to pass through this wood. That's why we are not able to see her face. So summarizing again, transparent materials means all the light will be able to pass through the materials. Translucent materials means only a few of the light will be able to pass through the material. And lastly, opaque materials means none of the light will be able to pass through the materials. So with this, I conclude the video.